Good. I gave you a pretty firm dose of leveraging the disc when you were at my class in Orlando.
Right.
So, a lot of this is what the TAG webinars are designed for, is to give you a refresher, because you can't possibly remember everything I threw at you in a day and a half, right?
Right.
So that's what these are designed for. So it's perfect for you to be in it now, because you're going to see a lot of things that are going to kick in, and you're going to say, oh yeah, he did go through that at the class, at the CA class. So that's just exactly what these webinars are designed for. So I'm going to advance this. Now, did you advance on yours okay?
Yep, it says, what is DISC?
Good. It's a personality profiling tool that helps determine a person's dominant personality traits, which you learned in the class. We go to in order to take it, go to the DISC profile. Now, you took it off of our website, correct?
Yes.
When you took it?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, you probably were given a link which bypassed. It's actually on our homepage of the TAG website on the left-hand side, about halfway down. It'll say DISC profile. Okay. So that's where you go in to take the DISC test, and you always instruct those taking the test to take it in the work mode. It'll ask you, do you want to take it in work, social, or family? And you always take it in the work mode. Okay? And don't change answers or take too much time thinking about your responses, because that will skew the results. What do the 4 types mean? Now, we went over this in Orlando. D is the dominant, D is a real high D is just give me the bottom line next, right? We talked about that pretty extensively. Right. The I is the influencer. It's the one of the people-oriented personality types. C is the detail side. That's the cautious one, wants everything going exactly perfect. T's crossed 3 times and I's dotted 3 times. And then we have the S, which is also a people-oriented side, but is more quiet. A real high S is more the shy type. And I don't think we had a whole lot of S's in our class, except for maybe Tessa, that sat almost directly across from you. She was with Susan from over in, I can't remember where their office is now.
She was pretty quiet.
Yeah, but she was probably about the only S that we had in that class. Ryan might be a little bit, because he's pretty quiet. Rob, his brother, was not, but Ryan probably has some S in him as well.
Right. Yeah, Ryan was very DI, I'd say.
Ryan?
No, the older brother, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. Rob was definitely either ID or DI. Probably DI. You're probably right.
Right.
Who do we know that fits those profiles? We just talked about a bunch of them. But and I showed you this, and I got the Donald in there way before he decided to run for president. So,
right.
As you saw in the class, Conan O'Brien on the I side, S, Mother Teresa, and of course Gates on the C side. So it kind of just gives you somebody to think of when you're trying to envision a high D or a high S, high C, whatever it is. A lot of our TAG members, especially our new ones, will come in and they will actually look at their current staff. And I've heard this from the owner of many, especially new TAG members, is they all have great employees, but maybe they might not be in the right position. So, and I've done this kind of test for new TAG members. I've done it for actually some of our strategic partners as well, and help them like move people to other positions. within the company. And when you do that and you do it right, you get people that are really become much more productive, happier on the job. But you talk to them first and determine if they would be happier and more productive in another position in the company. And boy, this works, James. This for later on when you're looking at something like this, or you get in the middle of a conversation there at work. Pete's well aware of the DISC and how it can be extremely helpful. Okay.
Right. We've got it all up on the wall.
Yep.
All of the employees and what their DISC assessments are.
Perfect. All you need is their picture.
Yep, that's on there.
Cool. This is actually page 17 of the report. It actually shows your adapted style, natural style. Do you recall from my class what the difference is between adapted and natural?
One is basically how you act at work, and the other one is how you act when you're not at work. So kind of how you
Very good. Yep.
how you perceive that you need to be when you're at
Yep.
work versus what you are naturally. And my adapted and my natural style on that that octagonal chart that kind of positions everything.
Yeah.
That one, mine are almost like right next to each other. So.
Oh, good.
My adapted and my natural style are pretty close.
Yep. Just looking at this, what do you think, what job do you think this person would be very well suited for within this company?
Probably sales. And they got
Yep.
the high I, and then they got some S, so, I mean, maybe sales, customer advocate, because you got the service-oriented.
Well, not so much customer advocate, because we need some detail side in there, right?
Oh, that's true. My details.
But what I'm looking at here is their adapted style. For some reason, this person may have been like in a customer service role, where all they did was talk to customers that called in during the day, and maybe you had to calm them down or get to the root of the problem or something like that. But because there's no closer in this person at work, all right? That's the D. The D is the closer.
Right.
So if you move that over to the natural style, natural is developing relationships first and then being able to close the deal once they've developed the relationship. That's almost picture perfect for an outside salesperson. Okay? So if this person may even be more comfortable in an outside sales role because they can be themselves.
Right.
Okay? It'll be natural to them. Okay, what are we looking for? This is just a quick 1-2 on certain positions within a company. What will help them more than hinder them as far as a DISC goes? And what we're looking for, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a little bit different DISC, that they can't succeed at a certain position. All we're saying is it probably gives them a little better chance to succeed in a position if they have some of these characteristics, like a high C, a C above the midpoint line. Accounting, including a CFO and even a controller. A technician needs to have that detail side above the midpoint line, right? Customer advocate, but not uber high, just above the midpoint line. Because when you get too high of a C level, then you're going to get hung up too much in details. And that's not good either. Technician, maybe, but you want to watch that kind of close. Ownership, believe it or not, they have to watch those details. Because small problems, if they aren't caught early, can blow up into great big problems that can be extremely costly. Okay, the D needs to be above the midpoint line for outside sales, because that's the closer for an outside salesperson. Ownership. They have to juggle many different balls at the same time. They have to be able to close one out and move on to the next item quickly. CFO, same thing. Not so much on the controller side because they're more dealing with people and staff accountants, but definitely at the highest level on CFO side. Need to have that D. Multitasking, moving right along. High I above the midpoint line, customer advocate, but not too high. Okay, and I'm not talking about extremes here. By a high I, just above the midpoint line. Okay, 60, 65 is fine, not a problem. Outside sales, develop the relationships. I actually like to see an outside salesperson lead with a high I and then a D rather than the other way around. If it's DI, sometimes they can put off a customer a little bit because they're so high energy and go, go, go. So the high D has to really just watch that. Once they understand that about themselves, they can normally reel that in a little bit. Customer service, definitely something that needs to be above the midpoint line on the I because they have to be able to talk to people, develop relationships, and actually be liked by the customer. Okay, technicians. We don't have to have an I factor above the midpoint line, but I'll tell you what, if you have like an IC personality type, a lot of times, you get a technician that actually has a personality, which is kind of fun. And it's
right.
A little bit unusual because normally what they like to do is just throw themselves into their work and, just, hey, slip me food and water under the door. I'll be fine staring at my monitor. And they'll stay at it until they get it done. The high I is unusual, is a little bit on the rare side with a technician, but their customers you'll know it because their customers will actually call in and ask for a specific technician. That's a real good tip-off that guy has a high I.
Right.
Questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. The S factor above the midpoint line, that can be in a customer advocate as well. You have to have that ability to really listen to what the customer is telling us. Accounting, kind of quiet, just gets their work done and moves along. And technician also. We see more technicians with an SC or a CS personality type than any other one. Okay? Okay, again, just to reiterate this, the high S wants harmony in the workplace. That's what they strive for. The high D wants just results. The recognition side is the high I and wants to be right all the time if you have that high C. And they pride themselves. You'll run across technicians, and I went over this in the class, that type of technician, you really don't want to question their knowledge because it'll just tick them off. They won't like that. And I think I gave you a couple of alternative ways to approach that high C too. To ask for their help rather than say, hey, I found something wrong, because that will just send them over the edge.
Right.
Hiring the right applicants, outside sales, DIID, either one works. Again, that's what we already looked at, the natural style on this person would be perfect for outside sales. Customer advocate, an I or an S and then a C below that. So an IC or an SC, either one. But we also need a little, I'll go back to that. We need a little bit of D around here too. Not that it doesn't, we don't want it to be dominant, but we have to have that closer in a customer advocate as well. You still have to ask for the signature, don't you, James?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, inner office. In our office where we are working, okay, the high D, you don't give them too much detail. because they don't want it. Just give me the bottom line. Give the bottom line, but detail it if they want it. Or put the stack of detail papers over on the corner of their desk when you have a chance to look at this. Here you go. And they're a multitasker to the max. Okay, so if we understand that about people that we work with, we'll be able to adapt better to how to communicate with them. The high C, the more detail you give them, the better they like it, and they'll probably come up with even more questions. But just be sure of your facts if you tread into their turf. Okay? If you're not 1,000% sure, like if you're talking to a technician that you know has a high C factor, then just say, hey, could you help? This is how I think this fits, but can you help me with this? Am I way off base or is it pretty close? If you ask for a high C for their help, they'll be your friend for life. The high I is very personable. They want to connect with people on a personal, common ground first. They don't want to just jump right into business. And let them lead, because they're pretty good leaders, and they like to do it. Like, people that become chairs for major fundraisers for nonprofits most generally have a pretty high I in them because they like to lead, they like to deal with people, they understand people, and they like developing relationships. So that high I works really well for being a chairperson for a nonprofit as well. So something to just think about. The high S, if you noticed, I put Tessa under a little bit of stress a couple of times in the class, and she got kind of sweaty palms, didn't she?
Yeah.
She didn't really want to talk much because it put her in an uncomfortable zone for her. So don't expect a high S to jump up and lead something in front of the group. They don't like doing that. Don't ask them to do that because it just won't end well. They love to listen. Let them listen. They also like harmony in the workplace and at home if they're a high S. They're usually very kind and considerate, but they will shut down if they're confronted by a D or an I. They will literally shut down. They might even shed a few tears, which is a good possibility. Okay, you want to review anything else?
No, I think it was pretty good. Still pretty fresh in my mind. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Right. There's a good recap though of
yeah, and I'd made a couple screen clippings to send to my OneNotes, just kind of the the different personality types, kind of just all the inspiring, influencing, impressionable, and then that last page you were on, I saved that for future reference later on down the road.
Good. This one?
Yep, that one.
Okay. Very good. Just in case you didn't get the screenshot, you can go for it again.
Nope, I got it.
Okay. Is there any questions about DISC that I can answer for you? I mean, I didn't take as long today because I knew you already got it from the class 2 weeks ago. So,
right. I think the biggest thing with DISC is like applying it on the fly when you walk into a meeting, being able to read people very quickly based on not only their job position, their mannerisms, how they react to certain things, and then knowing how to formulate, your approach on the fly, adapt your approach on the fly. And I think that's just practice, that comes over time. And so that's something that I'll be working on, over the, course of my career. But yeah, it's very interesting stuff. So it's good stuff to know.
Oh yeah, very helpful.
And I just asked Amy because I forgot I know. I'm like 75 was my I score, but I don't remember what the other ones were. So I asked her to refresh my memory.
And that was Amy that did that?
Yeah, and they printed off the results for me, and I have the printed results somewhere, but I want to get the file, so I've got it in my stuff.
Well,
oh, you might have it too, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got going on in July for webinars here? See some good ones.
Well, we're going to have our conversation, our CA call, but it's not going to be until later on because after this week, I won't be back in the office until the 14th of July.
Yeah, I will only be here for a couple of days next week, so that works out for me.
Yeah, well, I'm taking a full-blown vacation.
Nice.
About a week and a half.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Montana to go trout fishing.
Sounds like fun. Where in Montana?
My hometown. I'm going to Whitefish, and then I'll hang around Missoula and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Sounds like the perfect time of the year to go up there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, your adapted style is an IS, and your C is just below the midpoint line, 48.
So pretty close.
Yep, and then naturally you're an IS.
Okay.
And D actually comes up a little bit in your natural style. It's not above the midpoint, but it comes up to a 45.
Oh, so well, I'm hanging around the middle on the low ones even.
Yeah.
Not too bad. There's some I can work on, maybe developing that aspect.
Yeah.
Can always change my adaptive style.
Yeah, here's what I would work on. I would work on maybe lowering your I a little bit because it's pretty high. It's an 84 and a 77 naturally. So naturally doesn't matter that much, but in the workplace it really does. An 84 is pretty high for an adapted style because here's one thing that and I'm a high I as well. There's one thing in particular that we high I's love to do, and that is interrupt people. That's just what we do. That's just how we are. So
I try and avoid that.
Yeah, but that's just goes along with the personality. But if you're aware of it, and you can maybe start to work to lower that to like more of a 70, I think you're going to find it a lot more pleasing in the workplace.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, I really don't have anything else for you.
There any exercises like you can do with people to like work on your directness? Like walk into some place and do something random to someone you don't know?
You mean to pick out their dominant personality?
No, to like improve like a certain personality trait. Like if I wanted to be higher D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, sure. If you want to, you want to try to adapt yourself to maybe to try to change some of these. It's just to recognize what the characteristics are of the personality you are currently, and then work on one or two of those characteristics of reeling them in a little bit. That's what you want to do. If you want to increase your D, sometimes just to be able to say, maybe a little presumptive close is try it sometime, because sometimes we don't do enough of that. And simply by asking, so when would you like to get started with this?
Yeah, and I actually have that call coming up here shortly, and that's kind of exactly how I was going to approach it. Is when can we get you on the schedule to get the cabling done? So kind of just don't really ask them like.
More than that is, have they signed the agreement yet?
Right. No,
That's what you need to get signed. Hey, what I would like to do is get your signature as soon as possible so we can get you in the queue to work on a schedule for you so that I can let you know exactly when this is going to come up.
Right.
And that's working on your D. That's being able to work on the close a little bit.
And that is, well, I guess it's really the first attempt to close something, coming up here shortly. So I'll keep posted and let you know how it goes.
Okay, very good. Very good, man. Well, good talking to you again, James. And I enjoyed having you in the class too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Who knows? I don't know if I'll be coming down in October or not. Let's see if I can.
Never know. Never know. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll beg Pete sometime in September.
All right, good enough. Thanks,
All
bud.
right. Yep, take it easy, Larry. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.